I'll say it. Quinn Ewers shined today in the Miami Dolphins 24-17 win over the Detroit Lions in week 2 of the preseason. He looked much more comfortable. You could see the decisiveness still there, the processing. We'll talk about it all. Plus, is there a legitimate running back 2 competition brewing in Miami right now? We will discuss that. Also, is the depth starting to take shape on the defense, specifically at linebacker and on the edge? We got a lot to talk about. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. And as always, let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it!
You have got to be kidding me.
Jaylen has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score!
Field on the near side, man open. Touchdown!
The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep. He's going over the touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan.
Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another one. Victory! In the great words of Johnny Drama. The Miami Dolphins not settling for a tie. And they finished the job this week with an Ethan Robinson interception at the end of the game. It was a fantastic showing in the end. It was a showing that didn't involve very many starters, right? So it was a little rough at the beginning with 3 punts on 3 straight drives between the Dolphins and the Lions, obviously. But man, in that first half, and really on that drive, D. Eskridge got it going for the Miami Dolphins. I mean, you know, he kind of had that bad start with the fumble on the return, but man, he made up for it in a big way. All right. But I want to know in the chat right now. I'm going to put this question in the chat. If you're watching after the fact, let me know in the comment section. I'm going to start a poll right now. Who is your running back 2 right now? Jaylen Wright or Ollie Gordon? All right. You'll go ahead. You put it in the chat right now. And we've got easily over 100 of you already watching. I want to know in the chat right now who your running back 2 is, because let me ask you this. Again, I know I'm asking you too many questions here, but is it safe to say there's a legitimate running back 2 competition in Miami right now? Is that a legit conversation? You know, we all thought Jaylen Wright would lock it down after what we saw it last year, but man, early on, I would agree with what Darth Logan's saying. Right now, Wright ain't playing good football, and he looks like he's taking a step back in his game. The vision isn't there that we saw last year. And then obviously, Jaylen Wright on that drive where the Dolphins scored their second drive of the first quarter. I mean, he had that fumble there, right? That Tanner Conner recovered. And of course, it was Garrett Stewart that caused the fumble. If there's anyone you're going to fumble to, why would you let it be Stewart? But Jaylen Wright was just, you know, I mean, 4 carries for 3 yards now, albeit, again, wasn't a ton of push from the offensive line, but man, at some point you got to create a little bit. You know, while Ollie Gordon comes in, he has 10 carries for 50 yards today. And not to mention, Ollie Gordon added that nice one reception, the one where he got 14 yards early on, his first reception of the game. So, man, tough. Now, another interesting battle here is last week was the Taj Washington show. This week was the Theo Weiss Jr. show. Theo Weiss had a big game, and this is someone who I've been pushing. 6 receptions for 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a big game today, right? And remember after last week, I said I just want to see him play with good quarterback play so I can get a little bit more of a grip on what Theo Weiss was. Because the thing that he needs is he's got the size we need. Yeah, I love Tajay Washington, but at the end of the day, how many Tajay Washingtons we have? Theo Weiss is over 6'3", he's 210 pounds. Add some size, much needed size, especially when we get inside the red zone. So, but I'm going to tell you this much now. That battle is interesting. We know this. Lock in the first 5. These first 5 are locked in. Okay? Tyreek, Jaylen Waddle, Malik Washington, Nick Westbrook, Achane, and then D. Eskridge is locked in that 5th. It's really that battle for the 6th between Taj and Theo Weiss that's very interesting. Man, I wish we could keep 7. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I think they're going to try and move Theo Weiss to the practice squad. He's going to get scooped. I know we always talk every year about players who could do this, but he already looks. You want the reality check? He already looks like he's better than Izakama, and it already looks like that Izakama project needs to be put to bed. Darth Logan says, cut Julian Hill and keep Weiss. Listen. Remember, Paulie King, there's only one wave of cuts now, right? They just do the final cut down, right? You say cut Julian Hill and keep Weiss. Brother, the starters didn't play today. Did you notice who didn't play today? That's Julian Hill. Julian Hill's a starter. Oh, my God. Let that much. I know I see a lot of people talking about Jaylen Wright. I can see what you're talking about, the indecisiveness from Jaylen Wright. We saw last week where if you just would have ran downhill, he would have had a touchdown early on. He did have that strong touchdown run, but man, I still believe in this kid. I'm sorry. I still believe in Jaylen Wright. Nowhere, you're not gonna hear me bash Jaylen Wright. I still believe in this kid. Yeah, no, Julian Hill is starting. Get ready for it. Listen, we're going to talk about Channing Tindall in a bit here, but Channing Tindall, it's tough sledding for Channing Tindall right now. But I think the running back and wide receiver battles are very interesting. We would think this tight end battle is wide open, but just no one's stepping up. I mean, Tanner Connor made a few plays today, but he's just going to make the 53 just so he can't make any plays through the whole season. That's why I think we all wanted to see Jalen Conyers stay healthy because we think he would have made it interesting. Now, is Darren Waller going to come back and offer us something? I don't know. I mean, we're going to find out. But I'm not holding my breath over Darren Waller. I'm not holding my breath over a guy who's 32, didn't play last season and is coming out of retirement, who clearly is nowhere near football shape. And then you got the cornerback battle. Like, guys, Cam Smith making a couple plays at the end there, right? Good coverage on one play, and then a big tackle for a loss on another. Huh? Who thought Cam Smith out here making plays? Come on, son. Come on. Hey, I'm just saying. That was something. Finally seeing Cam Smith make some plays, be still my beating heart. That felt good. That felt real good. So, I mean, that wide receiver and running back battle, wide open right there. We thought the tight end battle would be wider open. Hell, and now the cornerback battle, we thought this would be the widest open, and it's just a mess. It's just a mess right now. So I want to get into some of my specific takeaways from the game, which is going to talk about a couple of these things. So let's talk about it. Let's start at quarterback. To me, Zach Wilson, he's still late on everything. The footwork is awful. Everything is off the back foot with this guy. Everything. All right? And when he's actually forced to read a field, he looks like a deer in headlights. The processing, I've talked about this. The hamster's not on the wheel. He's drunk on the floor next to it. It's just, it's not there. Zach is, I feel like we're going to say this every week while we watch him in preseason. He is who we thought he was. You would look at his box score today. You'd look at his stats today and you'd say, oh, he was good. 15 of 23, 151 and a touchdown. So, but you'd have to watch the game to see the poor footwork, right? You'd have to watch the game to see the terrible placement on the Tariq Black pass that, yes, Tariq Black could have laid out and made a play for it. I would agree with you if you told me that. But in the same sense, the ball could have been placed better. Right? The underthrow on the deep touchdown, it was a touchdown shot. Receiver was gone. Ball was underthrown. It should have been picked off. Early on, still seeing where he's, skipping footballs like the rocks on the water on short passes. So, Zach Wilson, you continue to see why people are so frustrated. You have all these traits, yet you have all these issues to go along with them. So, he is who we thought he was. Ewers looked night and day compared to last week. Night and day. Ewers looked comfortable in the pocket. He's making plays on the move. He's processing, like we saw last week, processing good and quick. He's being decisive, and the throws got better early on. He made a nice throw to Weiss. Some in the chat thought he dropped it. I thought it was good coverage, and that's what broke it up. And then he settled in, and he started making those throws. And him and Theo Weiss ended up having a day together. And even he talked about it in his post-game media availability where him and Theo Weiss are from the same area in Texas. They built quite a bit of rapport so far. But I'm telling you, listen, I know there's people in this community that hate how I always talk about how right I am or how I always remind you. But I'm going to go back to what I told you guys. What did I say when we drafted Ewers and we already had Zach Wilson? What did I say? That I trust this guy to operate the offense more than Zach Wilson because I know the traits. And where are we sitting here right now? If Tua goes down, Zach Wilson would be a disaster. Where second preseason game and second action of his career against NFL talent, Ewers looks like you got something here. Right? It looks like keep developing, keep growing this. We got something. Now, I can give you 6 million reasons why Zach Wilson isn't going to get displaced for quarterback 2. But if you were talking to me right now, I would sit here and tell you, if I was on the coaching staff, I would be pushing for Ewers to be quarterback 2. I'm going to tell you this. Next week against the Jags, I'll give the starters a drive or two. I'll give Wilson the rest of the first quarter, and then I'm going for Ewers for 3 quarters. So, I don't know. I think they hit on Quinn Ewers. I've been telling y'all since last August that this is who they would target, and hey, I'll give it to them. They were right. They were more right on this than Skylar Thompson. And what I liked was just how easy it was coming for him at certain parts with it. And you could see it with his cool, calm, and collectiveness and downright nonchalantness with his release at times. You could tell he was just feeling the rhythm. So I really like what I saw from Quinn Ewers. I thought he shined. I thought Quinn Ewers did a damn good job. So shout out to Quinn Ewers. I mean, You know, I've been a fan of Quinn Ewers, not only because, if they drafted him, I ended up being right, but also because the player. I like the player. I like the traits. In our offense, in our system, I kept telling y'all, he does what we want from a backup quarterback. Now, will he ever become more than that? That's up to him. But you can clearly see it 2 preseason games in. A kid who's only played those 2 preseason games in his whole NFL career versus a guy who's been in the league since the 2021 draft, you can already see who looks like a fit in this offense and who doesn't. So, I'm excited to continue to watch the growth of Quinn Ewers. I really am. Back to the running backs here. Jaylen Wright it just needs to show better vision. I think his grip on the running back 2 spot might be slipping a little bit. While OG31, he's continuing to run hard. He's making plays after contact. He's showing that a little bit of explosiveness. He might be their hardest runner right now. He really might be their hardest runner right now. And I know Champlin, I know Boone, they showed a little bit today, but they're not going to displace. They're just not going to displace Jaylen Wright. There's too much invested in Wright right now. So, Don says Ewers is much more suited for this offense. I agree. Josh Miller, hey, reason, been a Phins fan since 94. Can't wait for the season, although I'm not very optimistic this year. Still not enough depth. But which position do you see the biggest jump on both sides? All right, let me do these takeaways, and I'll come back and I'll answer that. So I got it left up here. I'm going to come right back. That's a good question. D. Eskridge, he's making the 53. Theo Weiss, I think he showed today why he's pushing for that last wide receiver spot. I think he's the most capable of all the rookie wide receivers. He brings that size component the offense needs. I think the other intriguing young receiver right now is AJ Henning. I think he looks like I know he had a muff punt, but besides that, he's looked like the dynamic returner he looked like in college. Ewers had that nice throw where he threaded the needle to him for a first down today. Henning showed a little bit of receiver moxie. The word on the street is that the coaching staff thinks AJ Henning has improved the most out of all the rookie receivers from when he's arrived to where he is. So, I would love Theo Weiss and AJ Henning to make the practice squad, but I got my worries, especially with Theo Weiss. But D. Eskridge, he's making that 53. And then if they keep 6th, it's going to be between Taj and Theo for that 6th spot. The offensive line. Keon Smith giving up a sack. Larry Borum being Larry Borum. I will say this. The protection for the most part was less shaky today than it was last week, I would say. But Keon Smith and Larry Borum, the fact that these are top depth options is just boggles my mind. In what world? Only in Miami world. That tight end room, let's be honest, it continues to be, oh boy. Let's just hope Darren Waller has something left in the tank. Now, on my offensive game ball, I'm giving it to Quinn Ewers this week. I'm giving it to Quinn. After bouncing back from what he did last week, I got to give it to Quinn Ewers this week. The second runner-up for that game ball would probably be Theo Weiss Jr. All right? Defensively, Jordan Phillips is going to be a problem. Jordan Phillips is going to be a problem. He'd actually get my game ball. He finished today with what? A sack and a half, I think, today, Jordan Phillips did. 4 tackles, 2 solo, 2 quarterback hits, a tackle for a loss, a sack and a half. I'm taking him. I'm taking him for my game ball. He's going to be a problem, though. And I agree with what you say here because my next 2 notes are about the next 2 guys. Kenneth Grant, we saw the motor and the effort early on, how relentless it is. Zeke Biggers, come on, baby. Zeke Biggers making plays out here. The kid looks good, man. Zeke Biggers, I really like what they got. They hit on all three of these. Zeke Biggers had a pass deflection today, I believe, right? Yeah, and he had 2 tackles. They hit on all three of these guys. I think Zeke Biggers is going to be a contributor in year 1. I think Jordan Phillips is going to take over that nose tackle, that starting zero tech position. And, man, I said this, one of the reasons why I wanted us to get a Zach Sieler deal done was why. Because I wanted Zach Sieler and Kenneth Grant together for the next, 3 to 5 years. And, oh, boy, how exciting is that front going to be to watch? How exciting is that front going to be to watch? Ask yourself that question. I think Grayson Murphy and Derek McLendon, they continue to be good. And I'm going to talk about them a little bit more here after this, but they continue to be good. That depth in the front 7, I wish we had the depth, similar depth on the offensive line to the depth we have in the front 7 defensively. It's special. It's potentially special. Channing Tindall. I would roster Eugene Asante over Channing Tindall every day of the week. Now, when we signed Channing Tindall, we went over his athletic profile, the 4.4 speed, and I said, this is more intriguing. You know what Tindall is. He's not picking it up here, self-admittedly. If Eugene Asante can contribute on special teams, what's the discussion here? I thought Eugene Asante was wrongfully flagged last week for that penalty. And he comes downhill to the ball. And just, I love how that man, he doesn't take a step, he leaps. I just love the explosiveness we're seeing from Eugene Asante and the tackling. We're seeing really good tackling from Eugene Asante for the most part. He has had a whiff or two. But we're seeing pretty good tackling from him as well. He had 6 tackles today, right? Daquan Jackson had 6. Jason Marshall had 6. Channing Tindall had 6. But Eugene Asante also had a pass deflection and a tackle for a loss. I love what we're seeing early on from Eugene Asante. I like that. Man, that depth in the front 7, I tell you. On the back end, Jason Marshall Jr. I might be wrong. I wasn't a huge fan of the pick, and they're proving me wrong so far. To me, he's been the most consistent rookie cornerback in my opinion. Now, I know Ethan Robinson had that interception to end the game, but Ethan Robinson really wasn't looking great up until that point, and he was god-awful last week. But Jason Marshall Jr., I thought, has been very, very good. Isaiah Johnson was strong again, I thought, for the most part. I really did think he was strong. Kendall Sheffield, I don't really see it. So, yeah, I when you're talking about the rookie DBs, because they brought in B.J. Adams, they brought in Jason Marshall. We'll even include the safeties in this. We'll go all defensive backs. We'll even include Dante Trader, who we only saw a little bit of today. Jason Marshall Jr. has been the most consistent of them all. Probably the second most consistent to this point has been who? John Sanders Jr., the safety. So, man, Jason Marshall Jr., he's going to have to contribute at least in the rotation spot because he's not going to give you much on special teams. So, we are going to see. We are going to see how it all develops, but I like what we're seeing from Jason Marshall Jr. and that depth up front on the defense. I mean, I like it. I like it a lot. And Weaver's got some stuff to play with this year. I'm really interested to see it. So, all that said, let's go deeper into something I do want to talk about in the front seven. We talked earlier about some battles happening right now, running back 2, as well as obviously the wide receiver battle for the final spot. Something else I want to talk about here, the edge depth. I mentioned McClendon. I obviously also mentioned Grayson Murphy. Now, I know Grayson Murphy had a little bit of an up and down game last week, but again, he was making plays today. Again, he made a tackle for loss in the backfield. You got to ask yourself, are McClendon and Grayson Murphy our best depth behind our top 3 right now? Top 3 being Jaylen Phillips, Chop Robinson, and Bradley Chubb? Like, Mo Kamara hasn't really shown a ton yet. Right? Quentin Bell, Cameron Good, But McClendon and Grayson Murphy feel like they're making impact plays, and that's what's separating them from those guys. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting right now, is that Derek McClendon and Grayson Murphy, they're probably looking like your edge 4 and edge 5 right now. Quentin Bell was out there today. Cam Good would probably be your edge 6. He'd probably be in that battle. I thought Cam Goods looked better than Quentin Bell so far. Mo Kamara hasn't really done anything. So it's interesting to see how that edge depth is going to line up when these cuts do come down. Another guy who's been really good in that front 7 is Matt Dickerson. Right? I think Matt Dickerson's been real good. Let's be honest, the top 6 in that front have got to be right now Kenneth Grant, Zeke Biggers, Benito Jones, Jordan Phillips, Zach Sieler, and Matt Dickerson. It's probably your top 6 in that front right now. Obviously, Benito Jones and Jordan Phillips being nose tackles where Biggers can flex around, and so can Kenneth Grant, and Dickerson can play at the end. Same as Sieler. But that depth, I'm telling you, off that edge right now, I like what we've seen from McClendon and Grayson Murphy more than what I've seen from Cam Good, Quentin Bell, and Mo Kamara so far to this point. And with Mo Kamara, I'm including last season. The same with Quentin Bell. Grayson Murphy is really making a lot of the opportunity he's being given right now. In my opinion, at least. So, I don't know. It's a... Now, I will say this. Last week, we were all excited about special teams and how better it looked. Special teams this week, obviously AJ Henning muffing a punt. D. Eskridge, he went out and he fumbled. We did recover it. Jake Bailey, I don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, this guy had a 50-yarder and a 59-yarder today. Whereas Stonehouse had what? A 42-yarder and a 39-yarder. So I don't know. Jake Bailey, all of a sudden his leg woke up when they went and added Ryan Stonehouse. Special teams is interesting right now because that punter battle, Jake Bailey is probably leading it right now. It's just, okay, if Jake Bailey wins the battle, are we going to see the guy in the regular season that'll come out and punt a 55-yarder, and then the next punt is 30 yards? I don't know. But I will say this. Got to clean up the ball security. Can't have that happen in the regular season. Now, I also know if anyone says, hey, reason, well, you don't have to worry about AJ Henning. He probably won't be back there in the regular season. I get that. Still, what worried me about that is AJ Henning was a return specialist in college. That's what was shocking about that to me. Now, he did have, on punt returns, he had 3 returns for 41 yards. Eskridge had 2 returns for 15. And then on kick returns, AJ had 2 returns for 64 yards. That's the thing. Talk about how like rookies can make the team through special teams, right? If that holds true, AJ Henning has a shot. Now, I don't think he'll make the team, but if you're going to hold a coaching staff's feet to the flames about, hey, rookies and their contribution on special teams, AJ Henning is very intriguing. I don't think he should make it over Taj Washington or Theo Weiss. But if you were carrying 7, which we're not going to. I remember a couple years ago we did, but we're not going to carry 7. But if you were carrying 7, then it would be Tyreek, Waddle, Malik, Nick Westbrook-Akine, D. Eskridge, Taj Washington, and then Theo Weiss and AJ Henning, but they're not. And you've got D. Eskridge on the roster as probably your wide receiver 5, so they're probably not overly stressing about the return option. But it is, I don't know, man. I think he's a super intriguing option, AJ Henning. I hope they can get him on the practice squad, develop him, and we can see him come back next year in the preseason and in camp, having developed a little bit, and then maybe looking even better. Right? But we'll see. I don't think they're gonna carry a bunch of receivers, right? Like, actually, to be honest with you, I'm wrong. You'd have to carry like 8, wouldn't you, for him to make the team? Yeah, because Tyreek, Waddle, Washington, Akine, Washington. Yeah, then D. Eskridge, that's 6. Theo Weiss, 7. Yeah, you'd have to carry 8 for AJ Henning. It's not happening. Sorry, my math was all the way off there. And I don't even think they're going to carry 7, so Theo Weiss ain't going to have a shot. But that 6th spot, it's going to be interesting to see how that battle goes. The muff punt was bad, but, I mean, you look at it. I mean, think about this. On 3 punts and 2 kick returns, AJ Henning had 105 yards. Think about that for a second. Actually sit back and think about that for a second. That's a full field plus some. That can swing a game. Now, you're going to say, well, reason, a muff punt can swing the game against us. 110% correct. But the intriguingness of this kid as a returner is something. I'm telling you. It is something. So, now, I don't think he's going to make the team. It is what it is. You know? Really, it is what it is at this point. But I hope we can sneak him onto the practice squad. I really do. So, all right. Love what we're seeing early on. And obviously when we get to the regular season with special teams, you'll now have starters, guys getting all the reps, etc., etc. You know what I mean? So I don't think there'll be as many errors. You know, like the AJ Henning error wouldn't have happened because he wouldn't have been on the team. That's just what it is. So, but, and this is coming from a guy who's not a Bailey fan, I do think Bailey is winning the battle at punter right now. Got to be objective, not subjective, right? So, Stonehouse, it's been a little rough compared to Bailey. Bailey had 109 punting yards on 2 punts today, and Ryan Stonehouse accounted for about 80. Bailey's longest was 59. Ryan Stonehouse's longest was 42. So, right now, Stonehouse looks like Bailey. And Bailey's looking like who we thought Stonehouse would look like. So, we'll see. But, yeah. And also, I think next week, when we have the starting defense out there, we'll get a little bit better of a grasp of guys like Jack Jones out there, you know, and such. So, we didn't get a ton of reps from even the starters that did, or potential starters that did play today. So we'll see some more next week, and obviously all eyes will be on that offensive line, right? So continuing on here, let's talk about Mike McDaniel. He had an update on Achane's injury and Bonner's injury post-game, and this is what was said.
The
Achane right
nothing
now.
from the last time we spoke. We're gonna get back
Sieler.
in town and kind of better assess the time frames.
That's why I said time
between
frames.
days
Achane and Sieler.
Weeks, but not too long. So both of them are. We're gonna reassess when we get back to Miami, but I'm not concerned for what you're concerned about.
So between days and weeks, but not to be
Yeah.
anything to be concerned about for Sieler. And
Well,
Achane.
so it's a soft tissue lower body that's not severe, semi-preventative, but kind of tricky for timelines. Yeah, it was he.
This is Ethan
If
Bonner.
it was a situation where he could have, if we had a regular season game, it would have been a very different situation. I think he, but there's nothing severe going on. Appears to be hamstring. Don't know the severity. We'll check that out when we get back.
So, doesn't know the severity of Ethan Bonner. With Achane and Sieler, it could be days, could be up to weeks, but nothing to be overly concerned about. So they're probably not going to be getting reps next week when the starters get some reps against the Jags. That's for sure. I wouldn't expect to see Achane or Sieler. Even if they're like ready to come back, they'll probably hold them out just to be cautious about it. Now with Ethan Bonner, I thought, as I said earlier, Jason Marshall Jr. has been our most consistent rookie cornerback so far, and defensive back if you want to even go there. I think Ethan Bonner has been one of our better defensive backs, and I think you can make the argument he's been our best cornerback so far in the preseason. So, I need Ethan Bonner to get healthy. We cannot be affording to lose another guy like that. And, is this going to come a time where you're just going to have to hit the open market and see what's out there? I don't know. Will Rasul Douglas fix this? No. Will Stephon Gilmore fix this? No. But bringing in some reinforcements won't hurt you. In fact, it'd probably put you at ease. We saw Amon-Ra St. Brown cooking Jack Jones all week. Now, some of that was in 1-versus-1s, which are disadvantages to the wide receivers. I get that. But he was cooking him in 7-on-7s and 11s a little bit too. But there's some options out there right now. If you got to go get Rasul Douglas, circle back around. There's no point in being cheap right now, in my opinion. All right? You need cornerback help. Right? What's also interesting to me is we have not heard any update on Asante Samuel Jr. There's been zero update on if his neck is okay. None. There's nothing going on right now in terms of that. So, yeah, I don't know, but I'd be calling his doctor and figuring out what's up with him right now. I'm not even lying to you. I'd be calling his doctor and figuring out what's up right now. We'll see. His injury scares me, but, and let's be honest, in such a contact sport, he's one hit away from it not being good. I don't know. We'll see. I know they were locked in on Rasul Douglas at one time. They're probably going to circle back to Douglas. It's just, is Douglas going to bring down his asking price, or the Dolphins going to come up? It was one of those two things need to happen. Now, Quinn Ewers, he was at the podium after the game, and he said something interesting. I wanted to play it for you. He's talking about how he looked good on paper, but there's, it's that constant desire to get better and improve through watching the film. Listen to what he said.
Yeah, right. I think on paper it looked like I had a pretty good game, but there's some throws out there and some reads out there that I wish I had back, which is the cool part about it, because the film and the way you feel after a game is not always as good as how you think it was or as bad as you think it was. I think last week on paper it looked pretty bad, but I felt like I made a lot of good decisions.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And this
That's
week
what I
on
said.
paper it looks really good, but there's going to be a lot of stuff for me to learn from on this tape. But I think the receivers did a really good job this week, and I had no sacks. I think the O-line blocked their tails off today.
Love it.
And helped me remain comfortable in the pocket. But me personally, there's some things that I need to learn from.
Yeah, I thought he looked really comfortable in the pocket, and I thought the O-line was better this week than it was last week. I mean, you can still see stuff, and I know I'll see when I look back at the All-22 that I'm not going to like. But, I think, again, his footwork, sometimes he can get caught a little flat-footed, needs to be better, you know what I mean, in that sense. But I think, what I like about Ewers and what we're seeing about Ewers is he's building. Like, what you want to see from a young quarterback in this position is we want to see them build off of their performance from the previous week. And I think that's where we're at with Ewers. And I love hearing what he's saying, because it shows me he's got a good head on his shoulders, man. That's what this shows me. He's humble. He understands the work that has to get put in, and he's not letting the moment be too big or overtake him. No time to celebrate throwing, even if it's a preseason game, having your first multi-game passing touchdown game. No time, because you got to get in the film room and get better. And I love what we saw from Quinn Ewers today. I really thought he got my offensive game ball. Jordan Phillips got my defensive game ball. But I love what I saw from Ewers today. I love the growth we saw in just 1 week. Now, I've said this before. I'll give you 6 million reasons why it's going to be real hard for him to take that QB2 spot. But these are the type of steps in the growth and development you want to see early on. This offense just suits everything he does well. You can see the processing. You can see the anticipation. You can see him able to make those timing throws. And the last 2 weeks, let's be honest, he had the throw to Henning today, and last week he had the throw to Gordon where he's challenging windows and he's threading needles. So I like to see that too. He's trusting the decision making and trusting that his arm will get the ball there. So big time positives from Quinn Ewers. Big time positives. I like what the future holds, hopefully, for him. And I've said this. Next week, starters want a drive or two, go give it to them. Then give Zach Wilson the rest of the first quarter. Then go start Ewers for 3 quarters. I said he needed to get a half this week. Give him 3 quarters next week. So, I like it. I was patient with him. I didn't jump on him. Like, I know so many people are turned off because there's people out here trying to pitch narratives that he should be quarterback 1, he should displace Tua. You don't get that over here. You get objectiveness and reality. I like this kid. I have loved his potential as the backup since we picked him. Since I told y'all we'd be picking him. I like the potential here. I think he got a lot to work with, especially in this specific offense that we're running. So he's a good processor. He can move and make throws on the move. You saw he's making that touchdown throw to Theo Weaves on the move. I like it. I like it. I can see a world where if McDaniel sticks here for past this season, Tua Tagovailoa and Quinn Ewers are the two quarterbacks, quarterback 1 and quarterback 2 next year. So, this is where I'm at. Show enough in this preseason and through camp. Show enough to have us believing you can take that quarterback 2 job by the reins next year and would have taken it this year, potentially, if it wasn't for $6 million guaranteed to Zach Wilson. Let's go from there. Love what we're seeing from Quinn Ewers. Love, love, love it. All right, guys, smash that like button. Over 350 of you in the room. Smash that like button. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to get out of here. I will catch each and every one of you on the next one. And remember, I will be down in Miami this week for the practices on the 19th and the 20th, and the joint practice against the Jags. Just keep it locked in. Fins up all day, every day. See you on the next one. Fins win.